and I show you how to identify codecs, the difference between audio codecs, video codecs, and video wrappers or containers. So watch these videos in succession, otherwise you're not going to know what the hell I'm talking about. Now we're going to cover codecs. We're going to cover encoding with codecs, how to pick a codec. As I mentioned in the first video, I'm not covering anything other than XVID, X264, MP3, and AAC. I'm not going to explain the difference between them because I already did in the first video, so just watch that. Alright, now, as I said before, XVID is a cool codec. It's not a bad codec. It's outdated now. X264 is better, but it's got an advantage that X264 doesn't have. It encodes much faster, and it takes slightly less CPU to play it. But the CPU to play the files really should not be a determining factor, because the difference in CPU power required to decode X264 is only slightly higher than XVID. It's not even worth mentioning, so I shouldn't have even mentioned it. But anyway, it does take a lot longer to transcode into X264, but once you've done it, it's done. Now, when we cover encoding, or transcoding rather, I am only going to do 2-pass encoding. I will not do 1-pass, constant bit rate, constant quantizer, anything like that. If you don't know what those are, forget I even mentioned them, because I'll be damned if I teach you how to use them. That's junk. We're going to be doing 2-pass encoding. And for those of you that are, familiar with passes, we're not going to be doing 3 and 4 passes. That's just a waste of CPU. That's a waste of time. 2-pass is good. It's all you need. 2-pass encoding with the X264 codec gives higher quality than the original DVD at 2,000 or 2,200 kilobits per second. Because original DVDs are typically 9,000 kilobits per second. So even at 2,200 kilobits per second, you get higher quality than a DVD. And as I mentioned before, I know to some of you, you're thinking, how the fuck can you get better than the original? Well, as I mentioned in the first video, X264 can. It just can. And you'll see why if you watch the first video already. Alright, so in this example, we've got this movie called Cops and Robbers. It's an old... I think it's like from the 80s or something. It's actually it's a Chevy Chase movie. It's kind of funny. Anyway, it's cops.vibe on my hard drive. That's what I ripped it as. Now, here's the thing you need to pay attention to. I'm going to start showing you real quick. And I wish I had interlaced movies DVDs with me, but I don't. So I'm going to show you the difference between video filters and codec options. Those are two completely separate things altogether. They are not the same thing. Alright, now here's why. We've got, let's type in mplayer space, and just drag this file over and drop it into the terminal and hit enter. Alright, like in the first video, as I said, my theme is dark, so you can't see the difference between the dark borders and the edge of my mplayer window. And, well, I guess I'll change my theme really quickly just to point it out. Alright, you see this right here, this white border? That's the edge of mPlayer's window. See how there's a black border in between it? Alright, just pay attention to that, alright? Alright, now, we need to apply a video. Now, I'm not going to tell you why we need to crop black borders out. Watch the first video if you didn't already. But as I said in the first video, black borders are bad. They make things worse. All right, we need to crop it out. Cropping video out, just like de-interlacing it and de-telesigning or de-telesending it, is not part of the codec. It's not an option for the codec. It's a video filter. A video filter processes the video before it ever even gets to the video codec. Now, we're gonna just get rid of some of that. All right, now hit up in your command history to go back to your VOBS entry where you started playing it. Now, hit space-VF for video filters. And video filters you can put them together in a chain that's separated with 1 comma between each filter. And video filter options are separated by semicolons. I'm going to give you an example. We're going to use the crop, even though that's never what you should start with. We're going to use it just for an example real quick. Video VF space crop equals, and then we're going to do 720 by 480. and that's going to be our rectangle. Now let me show you something. Actually, let me open the GIMP. I want to show you a little bit about crop and rectangles. A lot of you that's never worked with video before, you're gonna be like, what the fuck am I? What's a crop rectangle? And I was the same way when I first started. Let's just pick a random picture, so I can just show. Okay, now look, with computers, everything has an XY offset. You see this? Well, you probably can't see it if you're watching this on YouTube. Maybe if you download the original file, you can read these measurement letters. Right here is 0, 0. That's pixel 0 from the 0 pixels from the top, 0 pixels from the left. Everything in computers is defined as a rectangle and an rectangle size, which is XY offset, and then XY offset from the original. For example, I start here and drag a rectangle to here. Now I have a rectangle that starts at what's that, about 400? 400 on the x-axis. X-axis is horizontal. It goes from left to right. Starts at 400 pixels from the left, 400 pixels in the x direction, and 300 pixels in the y direction. 300 pixels down, up and down from the top. XY, remember that. X is vertical, or X is horizontal, left to right. Y is vertical, up and down. So we're about 400 pixels X, and Y is 300 pixels, and that's our offset. That is our offset from the very beginning of the image. The very beginning of the image is 0 pixels from the top, 0 pixels from the left. Everything is measured from the left and from the top. Not ever from the right, not ever from the bottom. Always remember that. Alright? So anytime we're talking about an XY offset, when we say X offset, we're talking about so many pixels from the left. We talk about Y offset, we're saying so many pixels from the top. Now our XY offset is 400 and 300 respectively. That means we're 400 pixels from the left, 300 from the top. Alright, and our rectangle now has a size XY. Alright, our rectangle is, what would we say, it was 400 from the left, and it goes on to 1500. So our rectangle is 1100 pixels wide. Our X width is 1100 pixels, and our height is, what I say, 300, and it goes down to, it looks like about, I don't know, 850. So what's that? 550. Our Y size, or our vertical size, is 350. Our horizontal size, or our X size, is 1100. So we've got an offset of 400 by 300 respectively, and then a width, and remember everything's XY, width and height, XY, and our width is 1100, our height is 350. So when we crop, if we were to tell GIMP to crop this by using the command line and punching numbers in, we would say crop equals, and then we would give it the size we wanted it cropped to. Crop equals 1100 by 350, separated by colons, 1100 colon 350 colon, and now we need to give it our XY offset, which tells it where we want it to start from the top and left side. And then, so it'd be crop equals 1100 colon 350 colon 400 from the left colon 300 from the top. And then a comma if we're adding another filter after that. That's all one filter. That's a crop filter, and its options are separated by colons. And remember, whole filters themselves are separated by commas. Alright, now that you understand the basics of rectangles when it comes to images and computers in general, and how they view everything in rectangles, right here we got MPlayer space the path to the movie space dash VF for video filter chain space crop equals 720 by 480 720 colon 480 colon 0 colon 0. So that means we want it to be 700 pixels wide, or 720 pixels wide, 480 pixels tall. Start from 0 pixels from the left and start 0 pixels from the top. Hit enter. And as you can see, you see the whole goddamn picture, even the black borders. Now, that brings me to my next point. DVD video is anamorphic video. Always remember that. Every single DVD that you use, that you buy, that you view, is stored physically at 720 pixels wide by 480 pixels tall. It's anamorphic. So